the host of the Gridiron.
All right. Welcome to the Gridiron. If you give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking awesome. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. Description box below, very top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me, and I thank you in advance. And also, just a little ways down in the description box, there's a link. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. I have over 9,400 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants to Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, all right. Well, right. Yeah, it's just another day in the life of a New York Giant fan. Right? How are we going to F this game up here and lose it? Well, obviously, there's maybe a couple of recurring themes here and there and all, but it just once again, it's with quite a few games we've had, obviously throughout the season. You can just look back and point at this play or that play or and it's like, that would I see a lot of, obviously, the stuff in the Facebook groups and all kinds of stuff about firing Daboll and Shane and whatever and all this stuff and everything. It's tough. Really, really tough. Did Daboll make Gano miss the field goal, the first field goal? Did Daboll make Tracy fumble the ball? Did Daboll have Daniel Jones? Not throw the ball on the flea flicker. I don't know if he's like, maybe felt the pressure and he knew it'd be, he should have obviously should have got rid of it, but maybe he was afraid of getting hit. I don't know. The interception, the one was, that was just kind of freaky. The ball was like hit Tracy and bounced back to the other guy, and but the one to bounce it off of Clowney, it's just, things like that. It's just, it's just, obviously, with this, you can see we still have certainly have some weaknesses. Our run defense is absolutely pathetic. Really, really sad. That was like pretty much the biggest, as I mentioned because I read it, not because something I thought up or whatever, because I read it and I noticed it and all of that in my video, the last video they did, previewing the game, is that probably quite possibly the biggest, weapon that Carolina was going to have would be their running game, and I'm calling him Chuba Hubbard. I think it's Chuba, but it's Chuba to me. You name your kid Chuba, whatever, and your last name is Hubbard. I'm making it rhyme. Chuba Hubbard. He was all that in a bag of Doritos, boy. Just some shoddy tackling. The run defense is just. So, let's see what look, we'll talk about Tracy a little bit, but Tracy, once again, unfortunately, he had 2 fumbles. Let's see, Tracy, 18 carries, 103 yards, 5.7 yards a carry. Hubbard, 28 carries, 153 yards. I mean, once again, 188 yards we gave up on the ground. Just absolutely just unexcusable. I mean, Hubbard, as I'm saying, he had 153 yards. His longest run was 26 yards. So it's not like he had an 87-yard run or something like that. And the rest of the day, he only had, 62 yards or something. But, he had some nice runs in there, But, you look, they had 118 yards passing after you take away the one sack. This was like you could see, I guess you could maybe call it you can see it coming game, right? Because you knew, right, who was going to get the sack for the Giants, Burnsy. Ashawn Robinson, this is his Super Bowl, baby. Yeah, you don't want to bring me back? Yeah, all right, well, we got something here for you, brother. You knew he was going to have a fantastic game, right? But it said, what I read and all, part of being true. They had almost 200 yards rushing, they had a little over 100 yards passing. You knew this is, and once again, we just got slashed and gashed. Run game is just, hopefully, we're going to go over the draft here in a little bit, a little later in our program here, right? If the Giants are able to, because in that article I'm going to read about the draft, what they were talking about, right, was, that there's like no goose that laid the golden egg as far as like, quarterbacks. There's no, not that it comes out very often. There's no John Elway, right? There's no Peyton Manning, right? There's no, any, unbelievable, can't miss quarterback coming out. There's different guys. Each guy has their goods and bads to it. If Daboll's still around, hopefully he can pick and choose one of these guys, and hopefully he can get them, and hopefully work from there. But what it does say in that article is that it's not like, if you need a quarterback, okay, a bunch of quarterbacks here. But as far as like maybe a quarterback, as of right now, it's like, you look at a lot of these games. There's like, one week that one guy does good. Sanders is doing pretty good and all, but it says in an article there's a lot of good cornerbacks and defensive tackles, which the Giants could use, especially defensive tackle. Now, if the Giants, hit gold with their first round pick, if they take a quarterback, if they don't have to trade up and trade away their first and second and all this, and trade away their firstborn and all that, second round, I hope they can maybe pick themselves up a tackle, defensive tackle, because we need to shore up that defensive line. Just getting slashed and getting 200 yards on the ground to the Carolina Panthers is just way too, there's a ton of articles out here. But this one here, stats that mattered in the Giants' 20-17 loss. We got here, let's see here. So with the latest loss under the belt, the Giants fly back to the United States bearing a 5-game losing streak and the number 2 slot in the draft. All right, there you go. Now, the thing is, as of right now, with having the number 2 slot, once again, we're still got a long way to go. A win here and a win there. The Giants have some winnable games coming up and all that. A win here, a win there, and the Giants go from number 2 to number 6. Another win, they're number 7, they're number 11. So long way to go. But just as it is right now, with Jacksonville being number 1, Giants are number 2. You have to wait and see. Is Peterson going to be around? Right? You would think that they're going to keep Lawrence, right, as their quarterback. If it were to start, everything ended today, right? So the Giants would have possibly the first crack, possibly at a quarterback, unless somebody wants to jump the Giants and go to number 1 and trade and have the Jaguars, fall back a spot, 2-3 spot, whatever, what, you know what I mean? And somebody jumps in front of the Giants and grabs it. So sitting and waiting for one to come to you is one thing. Waiting to have somebody jump in front of you, that's always a possibility as well, too. But all right. Then we're going to talk about, obviously, let's see. The Giants offense looks stuck in the mud for the first 30 minutes of action. Yep. As Carolina pulled out, the 10-0 lead. And we're going to talk about that, too, in a little bit. But, you got to give the Giants some credit, right? They did bounce back. They would have their responses in the second 2 frames to set up overtime in Munich. But along came the untimely miscue, right? That would put the ball right back in, the hands of the Panthers, meaning the fumble. So they got 46 is one number. 1 week after Daniel Jones did the unthinkable with 0 yards passing in the first half against the Commanders, his fate repeated itself, and the Giants' passing offense put themselves in another early hole against Carolina. Despite having 5 total possessions in that span, the Giants managed just 46 yards through the air. I mean, I can't even talk. Really, I just can't even. How can in this modern day NFL go quarter number 1, quarter number 2, and then the following week go quarter number 1, quarter number 2, and combine those 4 quarters and have a grand total of 46 yards passing? How is that humanly possible? I don't care if you got a bunch of kindergartners running around out there. I don't care. A good coach would find ways to, 46 yards in the first half between the last 2 games combined. How is that even possible? Right, and then we lost to the Eagles before. We didn't do much of anything in that game. It's almost like we're regressing. It's like, oh my God! Despite having fun, let's see. It had much to do with the throwing woes of the quarterback. It started on the team's opening drive when Jones missed Jalen Hyatt, on a deep route on the left side, which was luckily helped out by Jadeveon Clowney offside penalty. We got 2 plays later, Jones would have a wide open Malik Neighbors separate himself from the opposing corner on a faking comeback route. He looked towards his number 1 option. The option was with the throw completely sailed over Neighbors' head and out of the play to spoil a first down conversion and sell the drive at their own 38-yard line. They continued on the Giants' 3 ensuing drives, 2 of which had pairs of incomplete passes and were capped off in 5 plays or less. The second possession had the ugliest missed opportunity, though, as Brian Daboll tried to get cute with a flea flicker pass design. Well, that's the perfect part of the field to do it. Right around midfield. It was 3rd and 1. If they don't get it, he's got 4th and 1. He tried maybe on, right? He's got 2 downs to make a yard. You try to get cute. You go with the perfect play. For what, I have no idea. I said, unless he felt the pressure and he knew if he threw it, he was going to be exposed or, whatever. I don't even know. It's not like, it's like he had to pair guys. It was like, against, like, what was it, Pittsburgh, right? Into the Pittsburgh game, right? When he overthrew it for the interception, he has Theo Johnson standing wide open in the middle of the field. It's like, you don't see that huge mammoth human being and standing in the middle of the field. That's one of your teammates. You can throw it to him. He would have got tackled. He caught it, tackled. The clock would have ran, but I don't know what this guy is thinking. It's just, oh my God. Let's see. Jones executed 2 decent drives amid his woeful ones, each lasting 7 and 8 plays. respectively, but both didn't result in his arm creating points on the scoreboard. Instead, it only kept his stat line at 8 touchdowns on the year and a quarterback rating of 34.2, which paled in comparison to the younger and less experienced Bryce Young, who went 15 for 25, 126 yards, and a rating of 58.8. Giants finished the day with Jones passing for under 200 yards and not one receiver over 51 yards. I mean, we're not talking about the steel curtain here. We're not talking about the purple people eaters. Right? We're not talking about doomsday. We're not talking about the 85 Bears, the 86 Giants, the 2000. We're talking about the 2024 Carolina Panthers. They suck. There's a reason why they came into this game with the record they have with 2 wins. Right? There's a reason why. They were 2-7. Not one guy had over 51 yards. Let's see. This continues another dismal campaign for the team's offense, which is, if it can't throw, is going to have a hard time winning games in this league. Well, let me see here. Hold on there. Yeah. Oh, that's right, Mel. I'm sorry. I thought I looked real fast here. I thought Malik had 6 for 60. He had 6 for 50. My bad. I thought this article was wrong, but no. Yep. Yep. The article was right. So Malik had 50 yards and Wandell had 51 yards. And it says the number 3. It's 3 times the Giants had the chance to even the score with the Panthers in the first 2 quarters, and thrice they failed in their 3 visits to the enemy's territory. As mentioned, the first incident came on the Giants' first possession of the contest. Daniel Jones in New York huddle got moving quickly with 40 yards in 3 plays, but it only resulted in a fruitless drive as Jones airmailed his wide-open receiver, Malik Nabers, to stunt the drive at the Panthers' 38-yard line and send the hammer out for his first punt of the afternoon. After Carolina went up 10-0 on consecutive scoring drives, the Giants would get reintroduced to playing with a seemingly compromised Graham Gano at their kicking spot. Jones would again lead the team 7 plays, 35 yards down to the Panthers' 25-yard line behind a couple of nice passes to Jalen Hyatt and Wandell Robinson for 27 combined yards and his own gash for 10. However, as if the period of extra rest and recovery never mattered, the veteran Gano stepped up for what has been a chip shot field goal in the past and sent it fluttering wide to the right. The Giants' deficit remained at 10 after the 25 yards, or wasn't 25 yards, but after the missed field goal, and all left to complete the trifecta was the omnipresent turnover. And that lovely event happened 2 possessions later, with the Giants knocking on the door of the end zone, looking to notch the first score and cut the Panthers' lead to 3. Jones and company pushed the pigskin all the way down to the Carolina 21. Then Jones' errant throw. It wasn't even a throw. Like, I don't know how far it left his hand. How far did it from his hand to Clowney's helmet? Ricocheted off his helmet and then picked off by Xavier Woods, who took it back 4 yards and preserved the team's lead for at least the halftime break. The consecutive failures only add to the miserable season the Giants have had at scoring points every Sunday. They entered the game averaging 15.4 points per contest and held the league's worst red zone scoring percentage of 40%, which is their worst in the last 5 campaigns. Let's see, we got another number here. 153. Yeah. I mean, this is just... Giants have been getting absolutely pummeled on the ground over the month. And the story was no different against the Panthers and their lead back, Chubba Hubbard. Hubbard, the 25-year-old ball carrier who had just been given a new extension by the team before leaving for Germany. Good for him. The dude freaking deserves it. Put on a rushing clinic to pulverize the Giants' defense that's been miserable against the run. He added to his 818-yard campaign with a 28-carry, 153-yard, and 1 touchdown performance, marking his best game of the 2024 season and his 4-year career. Of course, a game against the Giants. Shocking. The feat also handed Hubbard his third 100-yard game of the season. It was paired with the quarterback Bryce Young's 30 yards worth of scampers to provide Carolina with 188 yards of total production in the trenches and marked the Giants' fourth straight game with at least 149 yards allowed to their opponent. I mean, the one thing was supposed to be was when we had Bowen, right? One of the things that was supposed to be, he was supposed to, obviously be good in the red zone, his defenses, right? But his run defenses were supposed to be good. And I'll almost push all the chips in the middle of the table, right? That if you look between Kayvon hasn't been in there, okay? So he's been out for a little while. Hopefully he'll be coming back after the bye week. That would be good. So he's been out. He's a better run defender than Aziz is. But, I'll push all the chips in the middle of the table that, between Brian Burns, Saxy Dexy, Bobby Okereke, Kayvon Thibodeau, those guys there, I'll bet you on all the chips I got. I don't have any. If I had chips, just imagine I had chips. I push them all on the center table. That, they're probably better. We got a better defense front wall with the linebacker and all that than what he had with the Titans. And somehow he was making that their defense very good against the run. And just rather shocking. Rather shocking. It all starts up front. It all starts up front. If you can't stop their run, that's just straight up embarrassing. Straight up embarrassing. Giants got to do a better job. But let's see. Daniel Jones did bounce back a little bit in the second half. He was 22 out of 37, 190 yards. But those two interceptions were just the two interceptions and the one sack. The one on the flea flicker. It's like, why didn't you throw the ball? On a brighter side, on a good and bad side, you had Tracy, right? Once again, another good game, 18 carries, 103 yards, a nice 32-yard touchdown run. It's nice to see. The guy, he get the ball, right? And he'll get close to the line or whatever it was. And he'll have some nice video. He'll step over here and maybe he'll step over again or whatever and sees this opening and takes off. And, I'm not saying the guys like Adrian Peterson or Barry Sand, nothing like that. But, 5th round pick, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good, right? Really, really, impressed with him. Unfortunately, he's got to do a better job. The one in overtime, you can see the ball wasn't, he was trying to make a move or whatever. Instead of having high into it, right to his body, right? The ball was down low a little bit. It was away from his body. And I think that Ashawn was the one that punched it out or knocked it out. You can't have it, like that. It doesn't matter, how big, anybody just hits it, it's coming out. You gotta have it, and it was down low and away from his body, and it is what it is, man. But once again, nice game, real nice game for him. I said, if it's hard to say, it was nice to see Jalen had 4 receptions. He went in with 1. Now he has 5 on the season. Hodgins only had the 1. But, Malik and Wandale did pretty good. Didn't have a boatload of yardage, but at least they caught some passes. And once again, everything's all relative. If we can, the one he airmailed over Malik's head, why he didn't throw the one pass on the flea flicker. It's all relative. If you can make those other passes, you keep the drives alive, right? Your offense is on the field. Their defense, you tire their defense out. It's Oh my God. It's every week. It's like, how are we going to lose this week? Well, they're not going to lose this week because they're not playing. But it's like, how are we going to lose this week? Right. I said, Tracy, the 2 fumbles. I mean, they had 126 yards received. And, not that I didn't figure this out or nothing, but it was pointed out when the video I did, talking about this game, right, was that, you look at their lineup. I mean, it's like they have nobody. I mean, as far as a real threat, as far as wide receivers. I mean, they had what? Jalen at 41 yards, Leggett at 40, Moore at 18, Hubbard at 16 yards, Sanders 8, Ian Thompson at 3, Jalen Coker had 41. I mean, at 120, there's nobody there that scares you. I mean, the biggest thing that they were going to have was their run defense. There was their running game, and right. But on defense, Newman, good game, 12 tackles. I'm going to try to do a video tomorrow going over the grades and everything like that. We're gonna actually tonight we're going to go over a grade. I'll tell you what, it's a little bit of a eye opener. What we got here? Karakay, he had 11 tackles. Burnsy with 9. McFadden was 7. Drew Phillips, he had 4. A bunch of guys had 4 and 3 and all. Of course, once again, we only had 1 sack. So I think now we're kind of going back. Now all of a sudden the sacks are kind of like disappearing. Because we played the Commanders, we didn't get a sack. This week we got 1 sack. On the other side, what do they have? They had the 2 sacks. So I mean, we did a pretty good job. Sean Robinson, of course, he had the 1 sack. You knew that. He had 7 tackles, 5 solo, 2 tackles for loss, quarterback hit, and a partridge in a pear tree. You knew he was going to try to have a great day. But I mean, you got to give we were down 10-0 at halftime. Then of course we came back. We held them the 1 touchdown in the second half. Right? And we held them 17 points. Most times you're going to can win a game. Just giving up 17 points, but it's once again tough game. Here we go. As the the Giants lose to the Panthers in overtime. Fire everybody. I'm not sure. I can't remember what game this is from. This is not from that game, but this was out there. I saw this. So fire everyone. So I mean, I've seen a lot of articles and stuff and everything where some people want Shane gone, Daboll gone, obviously Daniel Jones gone. But speaking of Daniel Jones, right, possibly being gone, well, so this is kind of like a first. I think kind of hearing that Daboll, he's not committed to Daniel Jones. He said, well, we'll have to go back and, in the bye week, the week off and all that, we'll have to go back and think about what's best for the team and everything like that. So quite possibly this could mean sitting Daniel Jones down and, not starting him. Right? I mean, 2-8, the season's over. We got what? What do we got? 7 games left, right? So even if we won, right, all 7 of those games, we would be 9-8. I don't even know if that would land us in the playoffs. Might, possibly, you don't know. But the way we've been playing, there's no way in HEL double hockey sticks we're winning the next 7 games in a row, right? So going to be interesting to see, if they go back and look and if they want to sit Daniel Jones down, they got to throw Drew Lock in there, see what he does, and then Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan can come in maybe later on in the season, because the thing is that if they're going to let, Daniel Jones, if they're going to let him go after the season, I don't know if they're going to bring, I mean, this is also maybe, if Drew Lock comes in, plays a game, couple games, and Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan, he comes in and all, this, they're writing their resume. These guys maybe try to bring back next season if Daboll's even here. Who knows? But I like to see if at least Tommy can work his way onto the field and see if he can play decently. Because if Daboll, he's going to want, obviously going to need some quarterbacks next year. You're going to need at least 3 of them, right? Quite possibly Daniel Jones won't be one of them. Then there is also that injury guarantee as well, too, which is like there's $23 million, which is guaranteed if he gets injured and he can't pass a physical. Right? But I mean, as of right now, everything's fine, as far as I know. Right. So that injury guarantee shouldn't work its way into the mix. Daniel Jones, I forgot exactly what it is, but I mean, if we let him go, he's due like $22 million, somewhere around there. It's a lot of money. I get it. But to get rid of Daniel Jones, it's worth it. But the Giants would save themselves about $19 million in cap space. The Giants have about $30 million somewhere around there in cap money next year. That's obviously subject to go up or down, of course. But if you can add $19 million to the cap by letting your quarterback go, that's pretty good. Obviously, I mean that's a star that you can bring in. One star that you can bring in. You can bring in like 2 guys and maybe $10 million a piece or whatever. You know what I mean? So that would be huge. As I said, the thing they don't want to do is have Daniel Jones get hurt because that like $23 million that cap hit. If he gets injured and if he can't pass a physical, that goes right toward the cap. That really hurts their chances next year, big time. Because the thing is, if you look, like if they were able to get themselves a quarterback in the draft, right? Say they keep Tommy around. They draft a quarterback. They're going to want a veteran quarterback in there. I don't know who that would be. I mean, you keep hearing different things as far as who it might be. But I mean, if they can have a veteran quarterback in here, right, and if they draft a quarterback, either start him halfway through the season, let him sit the whole year, whatever it is. But you're going to need at least 3 quarterbacks. But they with the salary cap money that they would have, they can go out and they can fill a roster, fill a couple holes that they have, because as we noticed, they've got quite a few holes. But it is different to hear Daboll saying that we're going to go back, and because of the past couple of weeks, even as bad as things been, every week the reporters keep asking them, who's your starting quarterback? Daboll always says Daniel Jones is my starting quarterback. Didn't say it this time. All right, maybe the writing's on the wall. Oh, where are we at here? Boop. I mean, it says Brian Daboll doesn't commit to Daniel Jones moving forward. Daboll declined to back Daniel Jones as the New York Giants starter going forward after the team's 20-17 overtime loss to Carolina. Once again, it's just another one of those. You can look back at just another one of those games. You can look back at the end of the season. It's like, man, we could have won that one. The one thing is, as painful as this is week in and week out to watch, all of these games that we're losing, in the grand scheme of things, is actually helping us out because it's getting us a better draft pick. All these games, we could have won this game, we could have won that game. If we had a kicker against the Commanders, we could have won. We possibly could have won this game. Just is hurting our draft positioning. But now that we're losing a lot of these games, our draft position is really, really doing well. But he said it was hard to miss the emotional strain on the Giants head coach Brian Daboll's face after the team lost 20-17 in overtime to the Panthers. But that's apparently nothing compared to what awaits Daboll once the Giants return to the United States from Munich. Daboll, whose team is in the midst of a 5-game losing streak, the longest under his watch, continues to face growing questions about the team's state and, in particular, quarterback Daniel Jones' future as the team's starter. Jones, who has been given every possible chance to succeed at quarterback, fell flat once again. He not only threw 2 bad interceptions, both in the red zone, which obviously took points off the board. Right? I mean, like the one against, like the one with Clowney. I understand you try to get it, but I mean, if he ran out of bounds, I don't know if he got sacked, whatever. We're still in field goal position. You know what I mean? You got to get some points there. I mean, we had the 2 turnovers. Well, the 3 turnovers, right? The one directly gave them, well, not directly, but indirectly gave them the winning field goal. And the other 2 quite possibly took field goals off the board for the Giants. Now, if you take either one of those interceptions away, right? If Gano connects on the field goal, right, the Giants win. Right? But once again, in the grand scheme of things, instead of being 3-7, now we're 2-8, and our draft pick is better. So, which, if Daboll's here, if he's not, who knows? But if he's not here, having the 2nd overall pick in the draft, I mean, once again, it's still early to go, a long way to go, but having the 2nd overall pick in the draft is enticing. Very enticing. Let's see. Obviously, Jones not only threw the 2 interceptions, but he continued to miss wide open receivers. For example, on the 3rd and 1 flea flicker, Jones hesitated to throw to one of the 2 wide open receivers in the middle of the field, only taking a sack. He also continued struggling with his accuracy, throwing behind receivers or overshooting them, such as on the first series on 3rd down, when he missed an open Malik Neighbors along the sideline. Despite Jones' struggles at halftime, he was 6 for 14 for 54 yards and 1 interception, a 24.1 rating. Daboll said he didn't think about making a change to Drew Lock for the game's final 30 minutes. I thought we could get something going, which we did. Started out slow, had some opportunities there, but we had some opportunities, but did not, he said. The biggest question sure to linger as the Giants head into their bye week this coming is whether they plan to stay with Jones at quarterback. New York is 3-13 in games Jones has started since last season. While there have been a few flashes here and there of him playing like the quarterback he was in 2022 when the Giants finished 9-7-1 and made the playoffs, there have been more hair-pulling moments in his play, which continues to be highlighted by his post-snap reads and decision-making. I mean, let's see. Said, I'd like to say we've got a lot to work to do here in the next few days, in the next week, and we'll evaluate where we're at and what we need to do, Daboll said. Giants' latest loss now raises even more questions than answers about where this once proud but now lost franchise will go from here. Both Daboll and general manager Joe Schoen were given verbal votes of confidence by team owner John Mara last month when asked if he anticipated making any changes at the top. But after this latest loss, which pushed the Giants closer to the number 1 pick in the next year's draft, one has to wonder if all bets are off. Obviously, we're not where we want to be, Daboll said, adding that he felt that they had the right people in place to turn things around. We'll go back. We'll have our bye week. We'll evaluate things in the bye week and do the things we need to do. We'll practice a couple of days next week and evaluate everything. Unfortunately for him and the Giants, it's too late to save the team's 100th season from the pits of despair. Yep, which is, I mean, it's just, it's just an absolute train wreck. Absolutely. I mean, it'd be even hard. I mean, in the last 7 games, say we go 5-2, right? I mean, it just you just remember the first 10 games, what just a dumpster fire it's been, and it's just hard to fathom that you can. Yeah. The worst thing would be, unfortunately, which is, we want wins. Of course, we want wins. But once again, in the grand scheme of things, the final 7 games, if we wind up going 5-2, and we wind up with 7 wins, and once again, now we're picking 15, 16, 17, or whatever, it's like, yeah. Ugh. So, I mean, not that you want guys to lose or nothing like that, but yeah, where we're drafting right now is pretty good. So I keep pulling for Jacksonville. Let's hope Jacksonville wins, right? But who we have? There was 3 teams. Carolina won, the Patriots won, and the Saints won. I think it was, right? So those 3 teams. Those 3 teams were ahead of the Giants, right? And they all won, so that pushed them all back. So that's good. That's good. But on a surprising note, that's only one game, but on a surprising note, how about that Evan Neal, huh? Holy cow. Now, once again, you got to keep in context here. He wasn't going up against the 2000 Ravens, 85 Bears. He wasn't going up against Lawrence Taylor. Wasn't the Fearsome Foursome, wasn't Steel Curtain, not the Purple People Eaters, So you got to keep all that stuff in context, right? But, Evan Neal didn't do too bad. Now, once again, according to PFF, all right, that's all I'm going by. Some articles here I'm going to go over, but according to PFF, it was actually, I can't even believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but Evan Neal was actually the highest graded offensive player for the Giants. I can't believe those words came out of my mouth. I can't believe Evan Neal and highest graded offensive player came out of my mouth and were in the same sentence. I don't know. So, according to PFF, his passing grade was a little. We'll look at that, but his run blocking, not too shabby, not too. But once again, as I said, this is the Carolina Panthers, right? So, but hey, a vote of encouragement, right? Vote of encouragement for him. So. Let's see. I got to find him. I got 37,000 tabs. Bam. All right. Here we go. All right. Giants offensive tackle Evan Neal has a positive 2022 season debut as starter. Now, you also got to realize, too, obviously, too, is, he, is fresh. What would be difficult for him, which you got to give the dude some credit. He played the whole freaking game. Hadn't played the whole game in I don't know how long. So got to give him some credit. Right? He might have been in some shape and all of this, but to go from basically 0 to playing a whole freaking game at right tackle, got to give the dude some credit. But while things were falling apart for the Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, another team's first-round draft picks had things looking up for him. All right, brother. Yeah. Offensive tackle Evan Neal, who was finally deemed ready to start a game at right tackle, came through with a very impressive showing. Now, once again, this was only the Panthers. So keep that in mind. He was absolutely mauling people out there in the run game. His run grade for PFF, once again, was very good. Very good. Absolutely mauling people out there in the run game, moving people deep into the second level while never losing contact. That's what you want to say, right? He showed violence, feel, and balance in the run blocking aspect of his game that has been missing since he dealt with ankle issues last year. And, once again, you can make fun of him, this, that, and the other thing and all, but, if you got a foot, an ankle, and you're trying to, battle these freakish athletes, especially the edge rushers and all, it's got to be so difficult. But hopefully, hopefully he stays healthy, right? But, his run blocking was very, very good, which is, one of the things, if they would ever move him inside, you couple up that run blocking with his pass blocking, because now you keep the dude in the phone booth. He's not worried about somebody running around the edge or, right? Because he can go toe to toe with like anybody. Because he's 6'7", he's like 340, whatever. He's a huge human being. He don't look it because he's like a sequoia tree. I mean, he's just like whatever, thick and 6'7", but he's a big dude. Now, as for his pass blocking, it wasn't always pretty. He was not moving well in retreat. So, once again, and once he starts going up against some teams with better edge rushers and all, he might have some problems once again. He wasn't getting his hands on his man, and he looked very clumsy in space. But according to Next Gen Stats, Neal allowed just one pressure. And that's what same thing with PFF. They had him with one pressure. Okay. On 41 pass blocking snaps, which is 2.4%, which is, you'll take that 10 times to Tuesday, baby. You'll take that. Absolutely. Setting a career low in pressure rate allowed with a minimum of 10 passing blocks. 10 passing, I guess, attempts, right, for him. 27 of Neal's pass blocking snaps came against Jadeveon Clowney, whose lone pressure came against the third-year right tackle. Now, Jadeveon's, that dude is, but Jadeveon's a little long in the tooth. He's been around a while. It's worth noting that Neal had pass blocking help on his side, consisting of tight end chips and right guard Greg Van Roten sliding over to help with double team blocks. But for a team that has discovered life after Saquon Barkley and rookie Tyrone Tracy Jr., Neal's run blocking was superb, and we're looking forward to seeing more of him in 2 weeks when hopefully he'll knock off more rust. All right, then we got this one here. Evan Neal. Yes, Evan Neal was the Giants' highest graded offensive player. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. Unbelievable. We're now into the looking toward the 2025 stage of the New York Giants 2024 season. Yep. Let's see which players are making a case to stick around and which are likely to be elsewhere next year after the Giants' embarrassing 20-17 overtime loss. They got, you may want to take a screenshot of this for your archives. I'm going to pop it up there for you. But a game in which the Giants' starting offensive line earned 5 of the 6 highest offensive grades, the only non-O-line grade among them being blocking tight end Chris Manhertz, with the highest being Evan Neal. Before you get too excited, Neal's 80.6 grade, the highest on the Giants' tenure, was largely due to his run blocking, which was a 92.4, which I'm going to show you, which it was his calling card at Alabama. His pass block was only 49.4. So, once again, having issues with the pass blocking. Neal's low pass block grade doesn't seem consistent with the fact that he only allowed 1 pressure and no quarterback hits or sacks in more than pass blocking attempts. Likely explanations are that he, A, was sometimes getting help from Manhertz or lost his block, but it did not affect the play because Jones rolled out in the opposite direction or got the ball out fast enough not to be pressured. PFF's pass block grade measures only whether your man beats your block faster or slower than is normal, not what the result is after you've been beaten. So, let's see here. Jermaine Illuminor, playing on the left side for the first time this season, had a bit of a rough go, surrendering a sack, the most infamous flea flicker play. He was the one that allowed the sack. 2 hits and 4 hurries, but overall his pass block was only slightly below average. The other 3 offensive linemen were all above average in pass blocking. I'm going to do a video on that there. As usual, Daniel Jones and all 5 offensive line starters played the entire game. The only difference was that Neal was one of those starters. But let me show you. Let me pop this up here. I know I got ton of. Let's see here. Hold on here. Show you. I got Neil's. So I can pop Neil up here. Oh, there we go. All right. Here we go. I mean, it's just shocking. I mean, because you can look and see, right? Right. Well, I mean, this is his third game he's played in, but you'll notice here against Pittsburgh and Washington, he only played one snap each game. But here, played all 75 snaps. His run block was a 93.4. I mean, he was out there just killing people. His overall grade was an 80.6, but 49.4 was his pass blocking. All right. But you'll notice, right, he gave up a hurry. Jadeveon Clowney forced a hurry on him. That was it. Okay. All of his snaps was absolutely right tackle. His other ones wasn't a right tackle. What it was like, I guess maybe it was like a jumbo package, I guess, against those other two, against the Commanders and the Steelers. I guess maybe it was a jumbo package, I guess. So maybe there was two right tackles, or there was a right tackle, maybe a Luminor, and he lined up next to Luminor, maybe, right? But, I mean, you'll notice, right? I mean, this is, 49.4 is pass blocking. I mean, this is pretty much, right? Right. So far this year he's at 50.2, which is also the best of his career so far. You'll notice in 2022, when he played pretty much the whole season, 42.3. His run is 2023, when he only played like half the season, 38.5. Right. But so far he's at a 50.2. But I mean, once again, you can't get, you don't want to, get two, because this is just one game. He gave up one pressure. I said if he went up against Watt or something like, might be a little bit different. He has maybe a hard time bending, or guys getting down low has a hard time with those guys and all. That's why I'd love to see it, especially the guy's so big and strong, right? He's not, I mean, you can have a hard time bullying the guy, knocking him down, and he has a hard time with is that elusiveness, that, the guys who can bend and around the corner and all. That's why I would love to see the guy maybe slide him in the freaking guard. But anyway, it is what it is. But so far, nice vote of confidence. But you'll notice his run game is really good, but he's still struggling, a little bit with the pass game. But just at least for this one game, Evan Neal was the highest graded offensive player for the Giants. Go figure. But, along the lines of one of the biggest problems the Giants had, once again, occurred in this game. And that's, the Giants have been dealing with this for a long time. Another slow start for the Giants spells doom. I mean, it's like week in and week out. It's like almost every week. Not every game this year. I think we've had 2 games this year where we actually scored some multiple touchdowns in the first half. But I'm going to go over like each game pretty much, from this season, and just show you like how just, if we could ever like get out to a 14-point first quarter, or what, get 17 to 20 points by half, there's something, seems like almost every week we just like, where are the points? It's like we let the first 30 minutes elapse. Then they run in and they look at the scoreboard. Okay, guys, we're down 17-0. All right, so we got to come back by 17. It's like they don't. We're going to give the other team the first half. We're going to try to come back and make it up in the second half. It's like, but let's see. So let's go. I mean, let's see what we got here. Let's go to the Giants here. Obviously, week one, I mean, you can just forget about that, right? Week one, I mean, against Minnesota. Obviously, we didn't even score a touchdown in that game, right? Let's see. Did we have one? Okay, we had the field goal in the first quarter, right? So, of course, we had no touchdowns against Minnesota, and we had a field goal at halftime, 3 points. And, of course, then you look at this game right here, of course, right? This game right here, of course, halftime, no points. I mean, against a Carolina team, bad defense, somehow, once again, we got shut out at halftime. It's like, it's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. All right. So the next game, we had in the beginning, we actually had a couple games, not bad, right? Against the Commanders, right? We actually had 2 touchdowns. Right. Of course, we couldn't kick any extra points because Graham Gano got injured. Right. So we actually had 2 touchdowns in the first half of the Washington game. Now, there's once again, that game, quite possibly, if we actually had a kicker, we possibly could have won that game. But so that was one of that one, and not the next game. We had a couple games, right? But other than that, for the most part, all right. So the Commander game, and then you got the Brown game. The Giants actually had, there's this one, right, against the Browns. We actually had 3 touchdowns in the first half. Of course, we didn't score any points in the second half. We basically held on for the dub, right? But somehow we actually had 3 touchdowns in the first half. All right. And, of course, then the other game would be the Seattle game. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, we've got slim pickings here, right? The Cowboy game, what do we have? We had 3 field goals. So we were only down 14-9 at halftime. But once again, we scored 3 times, not 1 touchdown. The next game here. This was the Seattle game. Okay, Seattle. We actually scored a touchdown in the first half. It was 10-10 at halftime, right? We scored a touchdown in the third, a touchdown in the fourth, right? But in the first quarter, we didn't score a point. First quarter. I said in the same, say against the, what do we got there? Dallas scored 3 points. So Dallas game, we scored 3 points in the first quarter. Against Seattle, well, we put up some points, right? We had no points in the first quarter. No points. All right. Then the next game here. I mean, these last bunch of games were just, the Bengal game. We didn't score until the third quarter. We were shut out at halftime by the Bengals defense. I mean, they apparently had some kind of team, a defensive meeting only, player only. I don't give a crap, dude. I don't care what they had. You put the big boy pants on, you go out and you score yourself some points. They had no points against the Cincinnati Bengals at home. No points in the first half. Absolutely unexcusable. All right, then we got the following week. That was against the Eagles. I mean, we scored. Of course, we didn't even score a touchdown, but we had 1 field goal at halftime. So between the Bengals and the Eagles, those 2 games, they were both home games. You take the first and second quarter of both games, combine them together. That was 4 quarters. We scored 3 points in 4 quarters. Once again, slow start. All right, then, of course, we got the next game is the Steelers. The Giants, that was the 3 field. We had 3 field goals. Joseph, a 44-yarder, a 39-yarder, and a 29-yarder. So that one was actually 9-9 at half, right? Once again, no touchdowns. 3 games in a row. Not 1 touchdown in the first half. So you got the 3 games in a row, right? Between the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Eagles, we scored a grand total of 12 points in the first half. Lost all 3 games. Right? Once again, you're starting off slow. Of course, then we got the Commander game. That one we actually scored a touchdown in the second quarter, right? Which one was that? Was that that was the man? I couldn't remember if that was the Daniel Jones or that the Man Hurts one. But so we scored. We got once again, but we got shut out in the first quarter, and we scored it. We scored in the second quarter. We scored one time. We had one score in the first half against the Commanders defense. One score at home in the first half. Score 7 points. All right, then we got they got the Panthers in. And as I said, once again, somehow it's like, we shut out against the Panthers in the first half. It just don't know, just unbelievable. It just makes you wonder, because I know Saquon missed a little bit of time, not too much, but he missed a little bit of time in Daniel Jones's rookie season. But it just makes you think, because Daniel Jones's rookie season, we didn't have a number one wide receiver. We haven't had a good offensive line for 300 years. You look at our offensive line for that year. Sure, it wasn't phenomenal. We had Evan Ingram, who was like a mismatch, but he was like, you throw the ball to him. He's like, let the ball pop through his hands, it would pop up in the air, and there'd be a defender behind him who would pick the pass off and intercept it. Yeah. So we didn't have like really a number one wide receiver. And somehow with Shermer there, right? Somehow what we should have done was fire Shermer as the head coach and keep him as the play caller or the offensive coordinator. Somehow we got 24 touchdown passes out of Daniel Jones in 12 games. 2 touchdown passes a game. He threw 12 interceptions, of course. That was 2019. He had 319 fumbles that year too. I get it. But somehow we scored 20. He had 24 touchdown passes in 12 games, Shermer. And he was the coach of Daniel Jones. So, but the Giants did just slow start. I mean, there's just so many games, and even the same thing as last year. I mean, you go back to the beginning of last year. Oh my God! Like the beginning, the first. What do we got? Well, I mean, you start with the Cowboys. Obviously, we didn't score a point in the first half last year because we got shut out, right? And then, let's see, what do we got here? Oh, did it again. Let's see here. Then you go to the Carolina, the Cardinal game. We were shut out against the Cardinals. So the first 2 games last year, we were shut out in both halves. First half, both games. Then the 49ers, we scored 6 points. So the first 3 games, we even scored a touchdown in the first half. All right, then you got the Seahawks game. We scored 1 field goal. So the first 4 games, didn't score a touchdown in the first half last year. Then, of course, you got, I think it was the Miami game? Yeah, Miami game. We did score a touchdown. We scored 1 touchdown, but unfortunately, that touchdown came on Jason Pinnock's interception return back for a touchdown. So the first 5 games last year, the Giants' offense scored no touchdowns in the first half. Let's see. Was it game? Go to game 6? No. That was against Buffalo. We scored 9. We scored 3 field goals. Could have had a touchdown if Tyrod Taylor didn't change the play at the end of the first half. Possibly could have, if he threw a pass instead of ran the ball, maybe he could have scored a touchdown there. But the Giants didn't score a touchdown in that game either. So 6 games. Let's see. How many games do we got to go? Oh, okay, the Commander game. The Giants scored 2 touchdowns in the 7th game of the season in the second quarter. The other 3 quarters of that game, we got shut out at. But finally, it took 7 games last year for the Giants' offense to score a touchdown in the first half. 7 games. And I said the 7th game, we scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. The first quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter of that same game, we got shut out. It's just, yeah, I understand it's easy to say just start fast, and I get it and all that, especially when you're only averaging 14 or 15 points a game. I get it, but it just goes to show you it's just been unbelievable how slow. I mean, it's just like it's almost like rinse and repeat every week. We come out and it's halftime. Yeah, the Giants are shut out. It's halftime. It's wow. But with all of this, we have that. I even saw, I don't know, I saw a thing in one of the Facebook groups. Somebody said from Adam Schefter. I've been looking around. I couldn't find it. It said the Giants had the first overall pick. Now, I've been looking. Every time, every article I see, you got Jacksonville has the first pick. Giants had the second pick. But once again, we still got 7 games to go. The Giants win a few games. They're not picking second anymore. I got news for you. So, but the thing is that I'm going to read this article. There's no everybody, there's some good points and some bad points. There's no, oh man, hopefully, like Caleb Williams. I mean, apparently he's kind of seemed like he's kind of going down the dump or whatever. So hopefully there might be 2 or 3 or so quarterbacks at the very top, and hopefully we might be able to find the right one. I mean, Jaden Daniels, Dave's one. Right? He said, I'd trade up for him. Oh, yeah. So he was right about him. So let's hope that Daboll can find a diamond in the rough, in the draft next year. But according to this article here, right, if you look, is it this one here? Whoops. Pop it up to the top here. There is no obvious golden goose draft pick for the Giants to lose for. Right? So, the Giants are, if they lose, whatever. But, there's no, if they're looking for that goal, there's, what do you want to call it? Oh, yeah, there's 3 can't miss quarterbacks. It's they all have some issues or whatever like that. So, hopefully 1 or 2 of them will be good. And hopefully if we do wind up picking one of them, hopefully we do wind up picking the right one. But, you can see with Caleb Williams, he had bad first few games. The next 3 games, he did really, really good. But these last 3 games, I keep reading articles. He might even be maybe getting benched or something like that. It's like, whoa. So I wonder if he's like Justin Fields II. Because, Justin Fields was supposed to be good. And nope. But now they had Caleb Williams, and it's like they could have had Jaden Daniels. But we're in this article here, right? Let's see. Not all Giants fans were gutted by arguably the franchise's most embarrassing loss during an 8-year dry spell. In fact, there is a segment that rejoiced at the Giants 2-8 moving up to Sunday from number 7 to number 2 in the tankathon, way too early NFL draft. That was the byproduct of their overtime loss in Germany. Score a victory for the pro-tanking crowd that is tired of seeing prideful players and coaches win meaningless games during the second half of the season to worsen their draft position. For every time that it works out, like beating the Commanders in 2019 and winding up drafting Andrew Thomas at pick number 4 instead of Chase Young at number 2, there's at least one counterexample where it doesn't. Last season's 3-game winning streak, engineered by rookie Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan to improve from 2-8 to 5-8, pushed the Giants out of range for one of the top 3 quarterbacks. For example, their subsequent attempt to trade into the top 3 teams from number 6 were all rebuffed. The only sure thing as of now is that General Manager Joe Schoen would not select a running back at number 2. Whether the Giants remain at number 2 and Schoen remains the one making the pick will be decided over the next 7 games. But for what exactly are the Giants getting positioned? A quarterback to replace Daniel Jones if he is benched and then release him after the season with a $22.2 million dead cap salary charge? ESPN's draft analyst Matt Miller only has first-round grades on top 32 rankings on 2 college quarterbacks, Colorado's Sanders and Miami's Cam Ward. It's a unique class. There's not a great offensive tackle. There's not a great quarterback. Miller told the Post, the great players are at cornerback and defensive tackle. I think what we'll see more than anything is that teams who want to trade up for quarterback, it's not going to be as expensive as it's been. There is not that golden goose. The Giants certainly could fill a major need with a shutdown corner like Michigan's Will Johnson, Notre Dame's Benjamin Morrison, or Colorado's Travis Hunter, or a two-way star who also could be a top pick at receiver too. That bumps struggling 2023 first-round pick Deonte Banks into a less demanding role. Except that there are more questions about Johnson and Morrison now than before the season because they got hurt, one NFL scout said. Pairing Michigan's defensive tackle Mason Graham and Dexter Lawrence should immediately bolster the NFL's worst rushing defense. But Giants fans aren't welcoming losses for anyone other than their own version of franchise-changing quarterbacks. Giants have had at least one top 10 pick entering 6 of the last 7 drafts. Oh, my God. Jones was taken number 6, obviously, in 2016. The Jaguars currently hold the number 1 pick and won't be in the quarterback market. Trevor Lawrence signed a $275 million contract, but there are 11 2- and 3-win teams entering Week 11. As many as 7 could be looking to change starting quarterbacks in the offseason. There's going to be a lot of teams going to need quarterbacks in the offseason. That could be stock-boosting news for Miller's next crop of quarterbacks, including Georgia's Carson Beck, Alabama's Jalen Milroe, and Texas' Quinn Ewers. So those guys, but they may not be somebody you want to take at pick number 2, right? Some scouts might have a 3rd-round grade on Beck. 3rd-round grade, Miller said, but they think he will start getting drafted late because he has the cleanest evaluation. But you know how that is, too. You got a quarterback who could have a 3rd-round grade on him, and all these guys jump at it, and he might be big. He might be taken in the teens. Who knows, right? Sanders, Beck, and Ewers were all at the top of mock drafts when the season began. Ward and Milroe are the big risers. Ward, what happens in the spring matters, Miller said, referencing the college all-star games, NFL Combine, pro days, and team meetings. So we can still see a pretty big rise from these quarterbacks, which is true. So the thing is that, as of right now, there's no, there's like no golden goose. That there's no, how like last year, you can, it's like, possibly the first 3 picks might be all. Because we don't know exactly who's taking number 1, who's picking number 2, what teams are, because we still got half the season left to go. All that stuff can change big time, right? But there are a lot of teams. We got it here. Where are we at here? Okay, the draft. There's a lot of teams need quarterbacks, right? Not the Jaguars, but you got the Browns, you got the Giants, you got the Raiders. Now, Miami's 2-7. You're not sure what's going on with Tua, right? But you got the Titans, the Patriots. They got made are good there, but maybe the Saints. Now, they got they may or may not be, right? They took the Rattle Man, I believe, right? Spencer Rattler, so they may not be. But Carolina, the Jets, the Jets are 3-6 with Rodgers in there. Their season's over with. They need a quarterback. So, as of right now, right, the top 10 teams, and I'm just going by the top 10 teams on the draft board right now, at least 7 of them are going to need quarterbacks. And that's not even including the other 22 teams. That, of course, not every of the 22 teams after that going to need quarterbacks. But I tell you what, there's some quarterbacks to be taken, but what it says it's not a killer draft for quarterbacks. So Giants need a quarterback. Doesn't mean that there can't be a good solid quarterback out there. You just got to, as of right now, there's no definitive like number one, right? What said in that article, after the season's over with, right? You have the combine, you have the team meetings, you got the all-star games, right? And all of that. Let's see, that's where some of these guys are going to rise and fall and all of that, right? So if Daboll's around, I mean, he knows quarterbacks. He knows what he wants. He knows what he needs. He knows the kind of guy who can get in there, right, and run his offense and all and everything. Obviously, it takes watching a ton of tape, right? Doesn't mean the guy doesn't have phenomenal numbers at college. Doesn't mean he can't make it into pros, right? I mean, Phil Simms completed, I think, 48% of his passes in college at Morehead State, and he got taken in the first round. So just because, you don't have phenomenal numbers, right? But you kind of see a lot of it anyway. You see, 1 week, one guy does good at quarterback. The next week, he doesn't do so well. And somebody else does well 1 week, and then he doesn't do, so there's no, I mean, maybe Sanders, Ward, but they just lost to Georgia Tech. You would figure he could maybe have a real good game in that one, but it is what it is. But just because the Giants are taking number two, that article says there's no golden goose laying the golden egg as far as quarterbacks. So then we got this. We'll wrap up with this here, right? Who's to blame for the Daniel Jones debacle? Well, I think there's a lot to go around here. There's an article I'm going to read here. It says, who's to blame? I think they got, in this article here, they got, talking about, I think it's like 4 guys they got, but there's a lot to go around. It says, 4 New York Giants most to blame for the Daniel Jones catastrophe. All right, they got here Jones himself. Look, Jones is too far down the ORG chart to be public enemy number 1, but we can't let him off the hook entirely. He showed shockingly little development since being drafted in the top 10 a full 6 years ago. Yeah, it's true. Showing the same indecision, inaccuracy, and lack of awareness that plagued him as a rookie. His athleticism and arm strength would make him a serviceable backup. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So we've seen players with Jones' rough skill set improve to become at least functional as they adapt to the NFL. But Jones' processing speed is the same as it ever was, and he still puts the ball in harm's way consistently. His desire and work ethic isn't an issue. Absolutely not. The dude puts in the work. Some players just flat out don't have it, and it appears that Jones is just one of those. Next guy would be Joe Shane, to blame. Of course, all of this was pretty apparent some 18 months ago, but that didn't stop the Giants from handing out a 4-year, $160 million contract extension anyway. New York's current predicament stems in large part from misevaluating just how close it was to meaningful competitiveness after that surprise playoff run in 2022, and that misevaluation can be laid at Shane's feet. It was clear that New York was a little feel-good story, nothing more. Sure, Daboll and offensive coordinator Mike Kafka have constructed a functional offense out of a little more than spare parts, and the defense have found a few playmakers, but a run of close game luck and wild card round win over Minnesota Vikings team that everyone knew was overrated shouldn't have been nearly enough for this brain trust to change course and tie itself to Jones moving forward. Well, hindsight's always 20/20. Had Shane simply slapped Jones with the franchise tag, he could have had one more crucial year to evaluate his quarterback and maybe kept Saquon Barkley around too. Another guy the Giants had to blame for the Daniel Jones debacle would be Dave Gettleman. Of course, while Shane is the reason Jones is still a Giant, he's not the GM who drafted the guy in the first place. That decision obviously goes back to Dave Gettleman. At least you think this is mere hindsight. Please understand that drafting Jones 6 overall in the NFL draft was as baffling at the time as it seems now. A walk-on at Duke, Jones was just fine during his career with the Blue Devils. The kind of guy who gets remembered fondly by his fan base for years to come while never looking like anything more than a nice college quarterback. And yet, because he cut a certain profile and interviewed well, Gettleman was smitten, insisting not just on taking Jones at all, but on taking him well ahead of where most big boards had him. Trading down to accrue more draft capital and then throwing a dart at a potential franchise quarterback is one thing. Blowing a golden chance to set the course for your franchise on someone who threw for fewer than 7 yards per attempt with less than 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio in the ACC is quite another. And once Gettleman did tie the Giants' fate to Jones, he then promptly failed to surround him with the support he might need to grow and eventually excel. Yep. Then they got here. The other one would be is John Mara. They think John Mara is here. Is one of the reasons why for the Daniel Jones debacle. Says John Mara, and yet neither Jones nor Shane nor Gettleman are the one true common denominator in over a decade of Giants futility. Though it all has been Mara, the one holding the purse strings and making the hires. He's the one who brought Gettleman in, the one who signed off on a series of increasingly questionable head coaching choices, the man who's long been either incapable or unwilling to imagine New York growing into the 21st century. Instead, this team still does business the way it always has. And while that maybe worked in the past, it's clear for years now, that the league has left the Giants in the dust. Analytically, strategically, organizationally, you name it. Jones is merely a symptom of a team-wide disease, one that has to be placed at the owner's door. All right. Well, let's see. Who wrote that? Chris Landers, whoever that is. No idea. But, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, for the Daniel Jones. I mean, obviously, he's problem with the one problem is his star player has always been behind him, right? I mean, it would be nice to couple him up with some other, I mean, look what they did in Philadelphia. Now, and once again, to be fair, right, in Philadelphia, they surrounded with Jalen Hurts. He had a phenomenal offensive line. Of course, he's got Brown, right? He's got Devontae Smith, and he's got Saquon Barkley. But now, once again, to be fair, the Giants don't do their business the way the Eagles do. Howie Roseman just signs these guys, and he puts a bunch of void. He owes so much money after these guys are gone. That's how he's able to bring in all this talent. He just signs them. What do you want per year? Okay, well, he signs them whatever makes him happy. So he signs these huge contracts, makes Howie look like like he's the greatest guy on earth and all of that. But all he does is push all this money down the road. He's all in right now, right? Giants don't roll that way. Most teams don't roll that way. The Eagles are all in right now, and I think it's 2027 or 2026, whatever it is. One of those years, Jalen Hurts is owed almost $100 million. Why? Because Howie Roseman signed him the 50, 51, 52, 50, whatever it is, million per year. And basically, he's paying them all later on. I think it's like between like Hurts, Saquon, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. All four of those guys combined like $10 million or something like toward the cap this year. Why? Once again, because all the money is pushed down the road, right? Giants don't work like that, right? That's why Jalen Hurts has a number one running back. He has almost like two number one wide receivers. He's paying Lane Johnson, a Hall of Fame right tackle, like $3 trillion a year because he's all pushing all the money down the road, right? That's why the Eagles look good and the Giants don't, right? But I mean, but one of the problems I said, like with Daniel Jones, he's never had, this is like his first year where he's had maybe a bona fide number one wide receiver. So let's not forget, Odell Beckham was there in 2018. 2019, when Daniel Jones came in, Odell Beckham was gone. Odell Beckham Jr. was there the 1 year with Saquon Barkley, right? We had the 1 year, we had our best, pretty much our biggest, biggest head case too, but I mean, a number one wide receiver, almost maybe of all time, you can say. I mean, of course, his numbers don't compare to Marty Toomer. His intelligence, all that doesn't compare to Marty Toomer, because he's a head case and all. But as far as a mismatch and all that stuff and Odell Beckham Jr. was number one. Then, of course, you got Saquon, right? One of maybe the best running back we ever, maybe. You certainly put him up there with Tiki Barber, but, and then we had Eli Manning in there. So, for 1 year. And then we even had Ingram, right? Not the greatest tight end, but he was a mismatch, right? So we had some great weapons there. Of course, Eli was getting toward the end of his career. Offensive line maybe wasn't that great, but, he tried to surround Eli with some good talent. That's why he took Saquon. They picked number 2 overall. We tried to surround Eli with some talent to help him maybe get another ring, right? But with Daniel Jones, I mean, as I said, his best player has always been the running back behind him, right? They've never surrounded him with a ton of talent, really, really talented, big-time threat receivers. We've always had a hard time, protecting them. Whether the coaching stinks, the offensive line stinks. We have some decent offensive linemen, but then they get injured, and then the guys we bring in stink. Or get just one injury after the other, and we got to keep rotating offensive linemen in there. There's no cohesion, and therefore the offensive line stinks. Daniel Jones getting injured because the offensive line stinks, and then he's like shell shocked. So anytime he's back, he's like staring down the one receiver, instead of maybe looking around, but so he's just like locking on a one. First chance he gets, he tries to throw it to the one. Maybe he's just shot, just gone, spent because of being hit so many times. Who knows? So there's a lot of blame to go around. Obviously with Gettleman. Gettleman went down there and he saw Daniel Jones at the, I don't know, it was the Senior Bowl or whatever it was. And it was just like, wow. That guy's pretty good. Now, whether somebody else would have drafted him or not before the Giants had their second first-round pick that year or not, who knows? But there's a lot of blame to go around. Obviously, Daniel Jones, he's just some guys, it's not easy. If it was that easy, there'd be a lot more guys. That's why we have so many quarterbacks each year coming out of the draft and this, that, and the other thing. And every year, we're still, we're always looking. There's probably like every year, 10 teams or so, almost every year, looking for a quarterback. Every year. We have 350 trillion people on the face of the earth here, and we can't even get 32 starting quarterbacks. Well, of course, we can get 32, but we can't get 32 decent starting quarterbacks in the NFL. There's just not enough to go around. That's another one of the reasons why, as far as like expansion, right? Like, let's expand out. I'm just saying, right? Let's have a division or a conference out in Europe or something like that, right? I'm cool with that. Or we'll have some teams, whatever. Have some teams out of Mexico, whatever, something like that. There's not enough offensive tackles. There's not enough quarterbacks going on. There's just not enough. And it's telling you something. There's so many people out there playing quarterback. And when they come to the NFL, we don't even have 32 quarterbacks on the face of the earth. We don't even have 32 people on the face of the earth who can come in and play NFL quarterback. We have 32 who can play an NFL quarterback. Daniel Jones can. But we don't have 32 people on the face of the earth who can play quarterback at a high level, right? And it just goes to show you how difficult it is, right? So there's a lot, a lot of blame to go around. As I said, certainly Gettleman's at the top of the list because he's the one that drafted him, right? But it is what it is. Some guys can do it. Eli could do it. Eli could get hit, get back up, right? Remember about that 2011 championship game. He got pummeled time and time again. Coming up, looking up, his helmet's on sideways, looking, whatever. Is that complete? What's going on? right? Coming up, getting hit, getting pummeled, right? Get back up, slinging it once again. I mean, some guys can do it. Some guys can't. Eli Manning can do it. Daniel Jones can't. So the biggest thing in the offseason, right, is if the Giants moving forward, whoever it is, if it's Daboll, Shane, or somebody else, whatever it is, finding that quarterback who can do it. And that's a lot easier said than done. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 30 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you, thank you, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.